So we're just going to do a quick review. So we start with data types and operators. There's the string, float, integer, and Boolean. So a string is like any sequence of characters inside quotes. And then an integer, they're just no decimal numbers. They're just integers. They can be exponent and then floor division, which finds the quotient. So addition, subtraction, division, floor division. So division versus floor division. So division gives like the actual result of like the decimal and the remainder, but that just gives the quotient. Message on the screen using the print function. So you can say print and then whatever you want inside, then it'll output whatever you want. So you can do a string, like an operation inside or anything else. You can add strings together. So like if I said hello plus hello, you get hello, hello. And then like 22 plus 333, you get 22333 as a string. You can also multiply a string. It like repeats that string over how many times you want it to be repeated. But you can only multiply it by an integer. So if you did like hello times 3, you'll get hello, hello, hello. 4 times 3, you get 4, 4, 4, and then so on. Then the print, we just went over that. So variables, you can store anything inside of it. So on the left side of the equal sign, that's your variable name. And then you can say equals whatever you want, like a string, an integer, or like even a variable inside. So we said like x equals hello, y equals 124, a equals y plus z. So you can also swap the values of a variable. So if we had like the color equals yellow, and then we say color equals red, and then color equals blue. So at first it was red, and then it became yellow, and then it became blue. So then when we print color, it becomes blue. We can also check it using the comparison operators. So we can check if color equals yellow, we'll get false because that's not true. It's blue right now. So when we do that blue, it becomes true. So to get the user input, we just use the input function. So if we want to get the name of the user, we can just say, what's their name? And then store their input in a variable called name. And then say print name, and then that'll print their name. So see here, if we did what is your name, and then typed in Bob, then it would print Bob because that input was stored in the variable name. So it will always store it as a string, but you can change it if you want. So if you want to change it, you can put another data type like input or float only if they give a number. So if they give like a number 14.5 here, first it's a string, but then if we say float input, it changes it into a float. So then if we print it, we can get 14.5. We use it to like compare the number to some other number integer. You can't do it if it's a string. So there's also the if statement. So if the if condition is true, then the if statement executes. But if it's false, then it will execute the else statement. So we have to say if their condition and then a colon. Then we say tab and then put a statement. And we can put elif condition, colon tab statement, and then else tab statement. So we had y equals 7 and x equals 8. And then we say if y is greater than x, but it's not. But if it was, we would print A. Since that's false, we'll go to the else statement and then print B. And then here, y equals 8 and x equals 8. If it's equal to each other, print A, else print B. Since this statement is true, we'll print A. We can also use logical operators, they're and, or, and not. So if we said y equals 8 and x equals 6, if they're equal to each other and greater than 4, print A or else print B. Since that's false, we print B. But if they're equal to each other or if y is greater than 4, print A. It will print A because when you use or, only one of them have to be true for this whole statement to be true. There's membership operators. There's in and not in. So we said if E in word, print A. E is in hello, so we would print A, or else print B. This statement won't execute because this one was true. But if E was not in word, so E is in word, so we would make this false and then print B. You can also compare the user input to a number, but first you have to convert their input to a float or an integer. So see here, we did number equals float input, and then say if that input is greater than 5, we'd say your number is greater than 5 because we converted it into a float. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to convert it or compare it to the 5, the number 5. So the elif, it stands for else if that condition is false, then the program checks the next if elif block until one of them is true. Only if all the elif conditions are false, then the program will go to the else condition. So if we use like multiple if statements, then we want to check like all the possible scenarios. We can't do it without the elif because if one of the if statements were false, it would go straight to the else condition and not check all of the other if conditions. So here's an example, like if we wanted to check their letter grade. So we ask them what grade they got, we'd ask them for their grade. And we store it as a float input because we want to compare it. And then we say if statement, and then we use a bunch of other elifs, and then it goes to the else because we want to check each and every one if that if statement is false. So importing modules, we can import time. So if we did time.sleep, and then we can put the amount of seconds we wanted to wait. So if we did print hello and then time.sleep 10, it'll wait 10 seconds before printing the string bye. We can import a module called random. So if we said import random and then said random.random, it will get a random number between 0 and 1. Now we could also do random.randint and then 2 numbers inside A and B. So if we said random.randint 1, 30, and then print that random number, we get any random number between 1 and 30, which we got was 19. And then we can also do a random.choice. It will get a random element in a string or a list. So we did random.choice welcome, and then I printed L. So we can do random.shuffle to shuffle the elements inside a list. So if we said numbers equals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then random.shuffle numbers, it'll print anything in a random, it'll print it in a random order. So over here it did. So the for loop allows code to be executed repeatedly over a certain amount of time. So we have to say for a loop variable and then in range, then we have a start, stop, and step. So the start number is our start and the stopping number. The loop stops after this variable hits the stopping number. And then the step is how much the variable gets increased after each loop. So if we want to say print hello 3 times, we have to do for loop variable word in range 0, 3, 1. It'll print a hello 1 time in every loop. So if we print that counter variable loop, it'll print each number from 1 through how much you specified. So if we did 1, 11, 10, it will print from 1 to 10. And then if we did 2 instead here, it'll add 2 each time instead of 1. So we'll go from 1, 3, 5, 7 to 9. So the while loop, it executes a command continuously until a condition is satisfied. So when the condition is false, the while loop stops and the program continues on to the next line. So here's the syntax. We say while a condition colon, and then tab a statement. So if we wanted to print each number from 1 through 10, we say x equals 1, and then while that number or that variable is less than 11, print x and then plus 1 each time. So then we print it and then we'll add 1. So it goes to 2. Now we'll check if 2 is less than 11. That's true. And then keep doing that until it hits 10. And then when it hits 10 and then adds 1, we'll see 11 is not less than 11. So this will be false and then the code will continue. If we want a never ending while loop, we'll do while true. Because if that condition is true forever, then it'll output whatever you want. So if we said print x, we can do it'll print from 0, or if we did x equals x plus 1 after, it'll print from 0 to like infinity while this true thing is still going. So like a for loop, you'd already have a starting point and an ending point, and then automatically it's added by 1. But here you have to specify when you want it to end, and then the variable, and then how much you want it to add by. So a list, you can store multiple elements inside of it. You'd say the list variable equals, and then in square brackets, you can put whatever you want, like an integer, float, string, anything inside. So each element in the list has an index value. It starts at 0 and then goes on. So if we said L is 0, that would be 4, and then L of 1, 34, and then so on. Oh yeah, they can also be edited over time. So if we wanted to add something to a list, we'd use the append function. If we wanted to insert something at a specific index, we'd use the insert function. If we wanted to remove something from the list, we'd use the pop function. If we wanted to use like a specific or remove a specific index, we'd use the pop and then put an index number inside of it. If we want to remove it, we can just use remove also and then put the element name inside. If we want to, if you wanted to reverse a list, you can say reverse, and then if you wanted to put it into alphabetical order, you can use the sort function. So if you did a for loop on a list and then printed that loop variable, it will print each and every element inside. So if we said fruits equals apple, orange, cherry, blueberry, and raspberry, and then for loop in fruits and then print loop, it'll go through apple, orange, cherry, blueberry, and raspberry. So a dictionary, their key and value pairs separated by a colon, they're inside curly brackets. So if we said like Spanish to English equals uno, and then dos, tres, cuatro, or so on and so forth. You can do uno is 1, dos is 2, tres is 3, and then so the key is the uno, and then the value is 1. So if we wanted to print the dictionary, we can say print that dictionary, but then we'll get every single like colon or quotes, comma. But if we didn't want to do that, we can just print the dictionary and then the key name, that'll print the value. If we did the dictionary and the value name, it will print the key, I think, yeah. So if we did Spanish to English and then that, and then for loop in Spanish to English, a print Spanish to English loop. So if we did a Spanish to English loop, it will print. So loop, in this case, is every key pair. Then it will print each value of it. So we can just print loop and then comma that value, and then we get each and every key and value pair. So if we wanted to update it, we put the dictionary name and then the key name, and then we equal it to a new value. If we want to delete a key and value pair, we'd say delete del, the dictionary name, and then a key name inside. So a function is a created command when called can perform any action you give it. So the syntax for it is def, def, and then function name. And then you can put any arguments inside if you want. It's optional. And then output a statement. To call it, you would say the function name, and then in parentheses, give a value for that argument. But if you have no arguments inside, just put 2 parentheses. So a function with no arguments, you could say like def my function. It would print hello. It would print what's your name. Take that as an input, and wait 1 second, and then print name. And then you can call the function. So only if you write this line, the output will go. So if we print or write this line, we'll say hello, what's your name? And then you can input Bob, and then we'll wait 1 second, and then print your name. And then a function with arguments, it's called mean. We can create one. So if we say def mean, we have 3 numbers inside. There's 3 arguments. We call it num1, num2, and num3. We can say average equals those 3 numbers divided by 3, and then we can print it. And then here we created values for those arguments, and then it will output whatever the function wants. And then a function with a return statement, you can store the output of the function in a variable. So if we said return average instead of print average over here, we can say x equals mean 5, 4, 8, and then y equals mean 2, 5, 3. So we're storing that function in a variable, and then we can print it too. But then if you just do mean and call it with the return, it won't have any output. So for string operations, so each string, like each element in a string has an index position. So like 0, 1, 2, 3, and it also has a negative index position, starting at -1 at the very end, and then goes to -2 all the way down. You can also choose a specific index as well. You can say the list variable, or not the list variable, the string variable, and then an index. So you can say, hello, how are you? And then print x0, print h, and 13, that'll print an empty character. And then -5, that'll be e, and then -2, that'll be o. You can print a certain range of a string. So if you said 2:7, it would print it from L to H and not include the O because it ignores the final one. And then 2 to 16 will print L to O, and then it won't count the U because it ignores it. Then you can also do it from a negative too, and we'll go to Y ignores the O. Or you can reverse a string by doing colon -1. Then you can make it to a list by using the list function and then say the string variable inside of it. You can also reverse a list. You can say the list variable dot reverse, and then you can alphabetically sort it and say dot sort. You can also join a list by using 2 empty quotes and then say dot join and then a list variable. Yeah, so that's a review. Now we're going to start presenting the final project. So Grace, do you want to present it first? Grace?
Sure.
Okay, so just share your screen and then show the project. Wait, so just go line by line and then explain what each line does.
The import random helps you put in your name when it says what is your name, and then it does the name input. So in Printello, the name you put in, I will think of a number between 1 and your choice. Like when I print my name, it says that. And in the name input, it says put in a random number, you have to put a random number between 1 and the random number. So the number random is when and the number you choose, then it prints try guessing a number between 1 and the choice you made. So I'll put in 20, for example, and we put a while loop, and we don't really want to put in try guessing a number between 1 and the number you put in every time you get something wrong. And the G and the 6 after the while loop is the thing that keeps track of the attempts you get. And if the guess number is too high, it says it prints your number is too high and it keeps track of the points. And if the guess number is too low, it says your number is too low, and it keeps track of your number again. And if the guess number is the exact number the computer is thinking about, it says good job, the name you put in, you took the how many tries you got, because of this it keeps track of the attempts you get. And then if it is if you take in too many attempts, and if you run out of attempts, and if you get everything wrong, it prints you have too many attempts.
Okay, good job.
Explain it here.
So you printed the answer to the you printed the answer for the random number. So if you say right under the number equals int input, you said number equals random, not random, 1 comma number. So if you're choosing a number between 1 and 20, it will store that number as the number variable. So you said 20, it took a number between 1 and 20, it got 14. So now you're just printing the answer for it. Okay.
Do you see mine?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, let me run through this. Let me see. So we first get started by printing to get started, insert your name, and then now we want our user to input like type in their names. So we write name equals input whatever they wrote. Like for example, if I wrote my own name, if I wrote my own name here, then it will also, this variable is used to track the amount of attempts. I'll explain it here. And then now it prints hello name, since we wrote name here. Now it's the input, like whatever I wrote here. And then I will think of a number between 1 and your choice. And then the choice is also whatever the user, if I wrote 30, for example, here. Sorry. I wrote 30 here, and so now we have number equals random to 1 between, and like my choice I wrote 30, and like random is basically like something that like tells the computer that it chooses like a random number between 1 and any number. If I wrote like 30 here, then it will choose a random number between 1 and 30. But then if I just wrote choice, then it will rely on like whatever the user wrote. And then now this while it's not a while loop, but this variable I talked earlier tracks the amount of attempts that the user had, that the user inputted, so they don't take too many tries. And in this case, we only want the user to take 5 tries. And then now we let me see. So now we have print. Try guessing a number between 1 and choice. The number I've inputted. So I inputted 30. Guess, and then the guess is the input that the user decides to print. So if I put in 15, for example, then it will say my number is too high. So this is an if statement here, and it says if the guess is bigger than the number, is larger than the number that the computer chose, then it will print your guess is too high. And a equals a plus 1 is also that's the variable is what tracks. I already explained this. It tracks the amount of guesses that the user inputted. And then let's see, if I wrote 7, for example, then it says if the guess is lower than the actual number that the computer chooses, then it will print your guess is too low. So let's see, if I like start printing out random numbers. Sorry, my computer's freezing. So let me quickly, if I typed in like, so if I get it right, then it says, great job, you took 5 tries. So 14 was the right answer that the computer chose. And then so if the number is equal to the random number that the computer chose, then it prints out great job, name. You took 8 tries. A, remember, like it tracks the amount of guesses that the user had. So I took 5 tries, and then we stored it in the variable. So you took 8 tries, and then it says how many tries. If I took 4 tries, it'll say you took 4 tries. I took 5 tries, so it displays I took 5 tries. And let's say I got it wrong, for example. If 8 is not equal to the number that the computer guessed, then it prints sorry, but you took too many tries. The correct answer is number, which is the number that the computer chose on its own. That's it.
Okay, good job. As
This is mine. So what I did here is just wait. So what I did here is I wrote import random because I want to make sure that there's a random number that starts. And I wrote print hello, what is your name? And then they write their name, and then I made it an input. Then I got X, or the amount of guesses they make. And then I wrote print hello, name. I am guessing a number between 1 and your choice. Then whenever they make a choice, I made it an integer. And then I get a random number between that choice. And I do random.randint 1 to choice. Then I write print take a guess. And I make X equals 0 at first, because while this is true, this will also apply for the first one, making it equal to 1 at first. And then if they guess a number that is smaller, then it will say it's too low. If they guess a number that is greater, then it will say your number is too high. But if they get the correct number, then it will say, good job, Ezra, you took X amount of tries, or this amount. Then if X is less than 5, then it will say guess equals integer slash input, or parentheses input. And if the guess is less than number, then it says your guess is too low. If it's too high, then it'll say your guess is too high. And if it's exact, then it'll say good job, name, you took this amount of tries. And if X equals 5, you write print you ran out of attempts. But the reason why I did this instead of just make this into 5 is because when you finish the last one, it would say take a guess, and then it would say you ran out of attempts, which wasn't correct. So I just decided to make another one, which made it turn into this. So if I run it, it should work like this. 5, 8, 9. It took 3 tries, and that's it basically.
Okay, good job. Joseph, can you present your project?
Between 1 and your choice, and then wherever you write, it will input the number of. It'll pick a range of this 1 and your number. So I import random here, and then yeah, this is like the range, and like number 1 number, so random number here. It says take a guess, and then while the number of guesses is less than 5, the guess number is the input, like the integer input, and then it will increase by 1 every time you take a guess. And if the guess number, which is the input for this, is higher or lower than the random number, then it says it's too low. If it's too high, if this is too high right here, I mean, if the guess number is higher than the random number, then it's too high right here. And also for when you've taken under 5 turns or attempts, you'll say take a guess after, because you want, after 5 attempts, you want to say you have taken too many attempts, because it wouldn't make sense. It says take a guess after. And if your guess number is equal to this random number, it says good job, your name, which is written above here. You have taken T tries, which T is how many times you've taken, or like you've inputted a guess. So from here, I just put my name here and then take my number choice. And I'll guess 10. If it's just too high, then I'll go for 15. Oh wait, 5, and then 7, and then 8. So you see, it wouldn't say take a guess after 5 times, because it would say you've taken too many times. Yeah, that's it.
I'll show you how I did mine. Okay, so first I imported random because when you get a random number, we ask them what their name is and then store their name as an input. And then we say hello name. I will think of a number between 1 and your choice. Then we store that number as an integer input. Then we created a number or a variable called num that makes a random number between 1 and that user's input. And then I create a variable called guess taking equals 1. So I do while that variable is less than 6 because I don't want it to equal 6, it has to equal 5. I'll say print or take a guess. And that guess equals a float input. If that guess is greater than that random number, I'll say your number is too high, and then make their guess taken +1. And then if I say if that guess is less than that random number, I'd print your number is too low, and then say guess taken +1. But if it's equal to that random number, I'd say good job, that person's name. You took that many guess taking tries, and then I'll make guess taken 100. It won't print 100 because I change it after I print that. So we know if guess taken equals 100, the user got it right. So if we say guess taken does not equal 100, that means the user got it wrong. We print you've taken too many attempts and then print the correct answer was that random number. So if I run it, I'll ask what's your name, I'll put my name. I'll think of a number between 1 and your choice. So if I say 10, we'll think of a number between 1 and 10. So if I say like 5, your number is too low, 8, too high, 7. So then we'll say, good job, your name. You took that amount of tries. So 3.